The email arrived while I was organizing files in my cubicle. Mandatory meeting in conference room A for all accounting staff. I glanced at my brother Marcus's office, his nameplate gleaming with senior financial manager, while mine read simply account coordinator. He caught my eye through the glass walls and smirked, adjusting his designer blazer. I was used to his condescension ever since I chose to start working right after high school instead of going to college like him. Marcus had treated me like I was beneath him when he helped me get an entry-level position at his company 2 years ago. He made sure everyone knew it was charity for his uneducated sister. What I never told him was that while he spent 4 years getting his finance degree, I'd been taking online courses in forensic accounting and computer security. My entry-level position was perfect for what I really wanted to learn: how money actually flowed through major corporations. The conference room was packed when I arrived. Marcus stood at the front with our CEO, Mrs. Chen, looking grave. "We've discovered significant discrepancies in our accounts," he announced. $50,000 is missing, and we traced the unauthorized access to someone in this room. My heart started pounding as he clicked to the next slide showing login records from my employee ID. "The evidence is clear," he continued, his voice dripping with fake regret. "My own sister, who I gave a chance despite her limited qualifications, has betrayed that trust." Security guards appeared at the door as Marcus's words hung in the air. "We've already contacted the police," he added, "though I'm willing to show mercy if you confess now, Emily." I stayed silent, my hands steady as I gathered my belongings. I'd seen this coming for weeks. The way Marcus had been asking me to cover extra shifts, insisting I use his computer since mine was being upgraded. I documented everything, including the keylogger I discovered installed on my workstation last week. As security escorted me out, Marcus's voice carried down the hallway. "I guess it's true what they say about uneducated people. They always resort to stealing." What Marcus didn't know was that I'd been quietly building my case for months. The day he helped me get hired, I noticed irregularities in the company's books, patterns that suggested long-term embezzlement. I'd started tracking everything, watching as small discrepancies grew into larger ones, all leading back to one source: my perfect, educated brother. I spent that evening in my apartment, not crying as Marcus probably expected, but organizing my evidence. The keylogger he planted had been child's play to detect and document. I let it stay, curious to see his next move. Sure enough, he used it to frame me for transfers he'd been making for years. My phone rang around midnight, a number I didn't recognize. "Is this Emily Thompson?" "This is Amanda Richardson, the CEO's assistant." The voice was different from her office persona, sharper, more focused. "I saw something interesting on our security cameras today, something about your brother installing software on your computer last week. Would you be willing to meet me tomorrow morning?" I smiled, thinking of the evidence folder on my encrypted drive. "Of course, Ms. Richardson. I have some things you might want to see as well." The next morning, I arrived at a small cafe far from the office. Ms. Richardson was already there, along with a woman she introduced as Detective Karen Wu from Corporate Security. "We've been investigating financial irregularities for months," Detective Wu explained, "but someone was always one step ahead, covering their tracks, until you arrived." I pulled out my laptop. 2 years ago, Marcus helped me get hired because he needed access to a clean employee ID for larger transfers. He'd been skimming small amounts for years, but he was getting greedy. He didn't think his uneducated sister would notice the patterns. Detective Wu's eyes widened as I walked them through my documentation. Years of suspicious transfers, all technically authorized but just irregular enough to raise flags if he knew where to look. Marcus's perfect record had protected him from surface-level audits. But he'd gotten sloppy when he thought he had me as a scapegoat. "The police are already investigating," Ms. Richardson said quietly, "but we needed this proof of premeditation, documentation of his methods. The hidden camera footage of him installing that keylogger was damning. But this," she gestured at my carefully organized evidence, "this shows the whole pattern." I nodded, then played my final card. "There's something else you should see." I pulled up records of identical patterns at Marcus's previous 2 employers, smaller amounts but the same methods. "I think you'll find he's been doing this for quite a while." My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "I hope you're happy living on unemployment. No one will hire a thief." I shoved it to Ms. Richardson, who actually chuckled. He still has no idea, does he? My brother always assumed that without a college degree, I was stupid, I replied. He never bothered to check what I was actually learning all these years. The afternoon Marcus was arrested at his desk, I watched from Ms. Richardson's office as he was escorted out, screaming about mistakes and family loyalty. His designer blazer didn't look quite so impressive with handcuffs as an accessory. The evidence was overwhelming. The keylogger he'd installed had captured his own logging credentials, which he used to make transfers under my name. The hidden cameras showed him accessing my computer after hours, and my documentation provided the historical pattern that turned a single instance of fraud into a career-long crime spree. As Marcus was led away, I received another text, this time from our father. How could you do this to your brother? He gave you a job when no one else would. I didn't respond. They never believed in me anyway. Ms. Richardson cleared her throat. Miss Thompson, we find ourselves in need of a new senior financial manager, someone with experience in forensic accounting and a demonstrated ability to detect fraud. Would you be interested? I thought of Marcus's nameplate, his designer clothes, his constant reminders of my limited qualifications. I need to finish my certification first, I replied. I'm only 2 classes away. He smiled. Take all the time you need. The position will be waiting. That evening, as I packed up Marcus's office, now mine, I found a photo from his college graduation. He was beaming at the camera, holding his diploma like a shield. He'd spent years building an image of success while slowly stealing from every company that trusted him. I'd spent those same years actually learning, growing, preparing. The next text from Marcus came from county jail. You have to help me. I'm your brother. I placed his graduation photo in a box with his nameplate and designer blazer. The police would probably want them as evidence. No, I tagged back. I don't have to do anything. Educated people should know better than to commit fraud. Then I sat down at my new desk, opened my laptop, and started reviewing the company's security protocols. There was work to be done, and I earned my place at the table. No degree required. Updates from the prosecutor's office arrived regularly over the next few weeks. Marcus's previous employers were pressing charges, his perfect reputation crumbling as each new investigation uncovered more theft. Our parents, finally forced to face the truth about their golden child, stopped defending him and stopped attacking me. Ms. Richardson implemented every security recommendation I made, and the board approved a complete overhaul of our financial monitoring systems. I still attended my online classes, but now the company was paying for them. Turns out experience and skill matter more than how you got them. Marcus's preliminary hearing was scheduled for next month. His lawyer had reached out, suggesting I speak on his behalf about our close family bond. I declined. The evidence would speak for itself, just as it had all along. My new nameplate arrived today. Emily Thompson, Senior Financial Manager and Security Compliance Director. Not bad for someone who chose a different path to success. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about proving them wrong all along. Marcus's preliminary hearing fell on a rainy Tuesday morning. I sat in the back of the courtroom, watching my brother shuffle and wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of his usual designer clothes. He'd lost weight in county jail, and his carefully maintained appearance had faded. When he spotted me, he mouthed, "Please help me." But I kept my face neutral and opened my laptop to take notes. The evidence presentation took hours. Detective Wu testified about the security footage, walking the court through clips of Marcus installing the keylogger after hours. The forensic accountant I'd hired presented my documentation, now expanded with records from his previous employers. Each slide showed the same pattern. Small discrepancies growing larger, all traced back to Marcus's access credentials. During a break, our father approached me in the hallway. He looked older than I remembered, his confident posture replaced by a worried slouch. "Emily, please," he begged. "Marcus made a mistake, but he's still your brother. If you speak as a character witness, maybe." "A mistake?" I interrupted quietly. "He stole over $200,000 from 3 different companies. He tried to frame me for it. He would have let me go to jail. Dad, that's not a mistake. That's who he is. But he helped you get a job. Without him, I would have found another way to succeed. I always do. I gathered my belongings. He didn't help me get that job out of kindness. He needed someone to take the fall when he got caught. The only mistake he made was underestimating me. Back in the courtroom, Marcus's lawyer tried arguing that his previously exemplary character should be considered. The prosecutor countered by playing the security footage audio of Marcus mocking my education while setting me up to take the blame. The judge's expression hardened with each recording. "Your Honor," Marcus's lawyer attempted, "my client's sister holds a senior position at the company now. Surely that demonstrates the family's commitment to." "Miss Thompson earned that position by uncovering your client's crimes," the prosecutor interrupted. "The same crimes Mr. Marcus Thompson tried to pin on his sister because he assumed no one would believe someone without a college degree." Marcus crumbled visibly at that, finally seeing how completely his plan had backfired. The preliminary hearing ended with his case bound over for trial. Bail denied due to flight risk. As he was led away, he called out, "Emily, I'm sorry. I didn't mean." I packed up my laptop and left without looking back. The next few months brought changes I never expected. Ms. Richardson promoted me to Vice President of Financial Security, creating a new department focused on preventing exactly the kind of fraud Marcus had committed. My story spread through industry circles, leading to consulting requests from other companies wanting to audit their security protocols. Marcus's former colleagues who once looked down on me at his urging now sought my advice on career development. "College isn't the only path to success," I told them. "It's about what you learn, not where you learn it." The prosecution offered Marcus a plea deal, 15 years with possibility of parole after 7 in exchange for a full confession. He took it, probably hoping to maintain some control over the narrative. But his confession revealed even more than we'd known. He'd started stealing in college, using student organization funds to maintain his expensive lifestyle. After graduation, he refined his methods, always staying just ahead of detection until he decided to set me up as his fall guy. The day of his sentencing, I finally agreed to meet him in a holding cell. He clearly practiced his speech, tears falling perfectly as he spoke. "I was jealous," he admitted. "You were always so capable, making your own way, learning what you wanted. I had to follow Mom and Dad's perfect plan, get the perfect degree, live the perfect life. But it was never enough. So you decided to steal what you couldn't earn," I finished, "and blame it on me because you thought no one would believe I could catch you." "I'm your brother," he whispered. "Doesn't that mean anything?" I stood up. "It meant something when you helped me get hired. It meant something different when you tried to send me to prison. Now it just means I know exactly who you are." The judge sentenced him to the agreed-upon 15 years plus restitution. Our parents sat in the front row, finally accepting that their perfect son had built his success on lies. They tried to approach me after the sentencing, but I had a meeting to attend. That meeting changed everything. A major financial security firm had heard about my work on Marcus's case. They wanted to partner on developing fraud detection software based on my methodologies. The contract would make me a millionaire several times over. "We love that you learned this through experience," the CEO told me. "Anyone can follow textbook methods. You found patterns others missed because you looked where they didn't think to look." As I signed the contract, my phone buzzed with a message from the prison. Marcus had lost his appeal. He wanted me to help fund his commissary account since our parents couldn't afford to support him anymore. I deleted the message without responding. Later that week, I got an interesting email from Marcus's last victim, his previous employer. Their audit had revealed that he'd hidden some of his stolen funds in overseas accounts. They wanted to hire me to trace the money. The fee they offered would cover a down payment on the house I'd been eyeing. I took the job, of course. Let Marcus sit in prison, knowing that with every case I solved, every fraud I uncovered, I was building the career he tried to steal from me. His perfect degree hung on a prison wall, while my experience opened doors he never even knew existed. Our parents finally stopped trying to contact me after I blocked their numbers. They'd spent years praising Marcus's academic achievements while dismissing my practical experience. Now they could spend years visiting him in prison while reading about my success in the financial press. 5 years after Marcus's arrest, I stood at a podium accepting an industry award for innovation in financial security. My online degree hung in my office alongside certificates from specialized training programs, proof that education comes in many forms. A reporter asked about my unusual career path. "Success isn't about where you start," I told her. "It's about paying attention, learning constantly, and being ready when opportunity appears. Sometimes the best opportunities come disguised as someone else's attempt to destroy you. Marcus still writes sometimes through the prison email system. He's teaching other inmates about finance, he says, claims he's changed. Maybe he has, but his last email caught my attention. I'll be up for parole in 2 years. I've learned so much from my mistake. Maybe you could hire me, give me a chance like I once gave you. I archived the email without responding. Some lessons take longer to learn than others. Marcus taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about trust. He broke that trust, and all the degrees in the world can't repair it. My new fraud detection software launches next month. It's designed to catch exactly the kind of schemes Marcus used to commit. In the end, his attempt to destroy me gave me the knowledge to help others protect themselves. That's a kind of justice even he couldn't steal. The company's annual report came out yesterday. There's a whole section about our new security protocols, complete with a photo of me at my desk. No designer clothes, no fake smile, just the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly what she's worth. Marcus will probably see it in the prison library. I wonder if he'll finally understand that he never gave me a chance. He gave me a target, and I've spent every day since then proving that the best revenge isn't just success. It's success they never saw coming.